Chapter 5. Listeners and Speakers. Imagine giving a speech that no one heard. Merely considering such a circumstance points to the central role of the listener in the speech. In fact, all successful communication is two-way, including that of public speaking. It is the speaker and listener together who truly make a speech possible. Connecting with the speaker takes focus, while hearing, the physiological, largely passive process of receiving sound. Listening is the conscious act of receiving, constructing meaning, form, and responding to spoken and nonverbal messages. We can decide to tune out the speaker and ignore the message, uncritically accept, or hypercritically reject whatever is said, or bring our full attention and critical faculties to bear. Quick tip: get ahead by listening. College students in the United States spend more time listening, about 24%, than they do with any other communication activity, such as speaking, 20%, using the internet, 13%, and writing, 9%, or reading, 8%. Listening is also the number one activity employers do during the workday. Managers overwhelmingly associate listening skills with competence, efficiency, and leadership potential, promoting employees who display them and hiring new entrants who possess. In both college and work arenas, skill in listening leads to success. Recognize that we listen selectively. In any given situation, no two audience members will process the information in the exact same way. The reason lies in selective perception. People's perceptions are subject to their own biases and expectations, leading them to pay attention selectively to certain messages while ignoring others. Several factors influence what we listen to and what we ignore. For example, we pay attention to what we hold to be important. We pay attention to information that touches our experiences and backgrounds. We sort and filter new information on the basis of what we already know. For example, we learn by analogy. The, percep- the principle of selective perception suggests key steps you can take in your dual roles as listener and speaker. As a listener, examine your own expectations and motivations to hear things in a certain way. Ask yourself whether you are really hearing what the speaker is saying. As a speaker, demonstrate why your topic is relevant to the audience interests and needs. Use analogies to help the audience learn new ideas. Anticipate obstacles to listening. Active listening is active listening that is focused and purposeful isn't possible under conditions that distract us. In any listening situation, including that of listening to speeches, try to identify and overcome common obstacles. Refrain from multitasking. You cannot actively listen well while multitasking. Activities such as checking a cell phone or calendar, finishing an assignment, responding to a text diverts our attention from the message and reduce our ability to interpret it correctly. Work to overcome cultural barriers. Differences in dialects or accents, nonverbal cues, word choice, and even physical appearance can serve as barriers to listening, but they need not if you keep your focus on the message other than the messenger. Refrain from judging a speaker on the basis of his or her accent, appearance, or demeanor. Focus instead on what is actually being said. Whenever possible, reveal your needs to him or her by asking questions. Quick tip: listening styles and cultural differences. Research suggests a link between our listening style and culture predominant communication style. A study of young adults in the United States, Germany, and Israel found distinct listening style preferences that mirrored key value preferences or preferred states of being of each culture. Germans tended toward action-oriented listening. Israelis displayed a content orientation style, and Americans exhibited both people and time orientation styles. While preliminary in nature and not valid as a means of stereotyping a given culture's group behavior, these findings confirm the cultural component of all forms of communication, including listening. They also point to the need to focus on intercultural understanding as you learn about your audience. Minimize external and internal distractions. A listening distraction is anything that competes for the attention that we are trying to give to someone else or something else. External distractions can originate outside of us in the environment, while internal distractions occur with our own thoughts and feelings. Here's a checklist dealing with distractions while delivering a speech. Here's a problem. Passing direct distractions, chatting, entry of latecomers. Here's a solution. Pause until distraction recedes. Here's another problem. Ongoing noise. Construction. Solution. Raise the speaking volume. Here's another problem. Sudden distraction, which could be collapsing chair, falling object. Solution. Minimize response and proceed. Here's last problem. Audience interruption, raised hand, prolonged comment. Solution. Acknowledge audience reaction and either follow up or defer response to conclusion of speech. External listening distractions such as the din of jackhammers or competing conversations can significantly interfere with our ability to listen. So try to anticipate and plan for them. If you struggle to see or hear over noise or at a distance, arrive early and sit at the front. To reduce internal listening distractions, avoid daydreaming, be well rested, monitor yourself for lapses in attention, and conscious focus on listening. Guard against script writing and defensive listening. While we are listeners engaged in script writing, we focus on what we, rather than the speaker, will say next. Similarly, people who engage in defensive listening decide either that they won't like what the speaker is going to say or that they know better. Remind yourself that effective listening precedes effective rebuttal. Try waiting for the speaker to finish before devising your own arguments. Be aware of lazy and overconfident listening. Laziness and overconfidence can manifest themselves in several ways. We may expect too little from speakers, ignore important information, or display an arrogant attitude. Later, we discover that we missed important information. Practice active listening skills. Setting listening goals, listening for main ideas, and watching for nonverbal cues are practical steps that you can take to become a more adept at listening actively. Setting listening goals. Determine ahead of time what you need and expect from a listening situation. 1. Identify your listening needs. I must know my classmates' thesis, purpose, main points, and types of organization in order to complete and hand in a written evaluation. 2. Identify why listening will help you. I will get a better grade on this evaluation if I am able to identify and evaluate major components of Sarah's speech. 3. Make an action statement or goal. I will minimize distractions, take notes, and practice the active listening steps during the speech, asking questions about anything I do not understand. 4. Access goal achievement. I did identify the components of the speech I decided to focus upon and wrote them in class. Listen for main ideas. Try these strategies to ensure that you identify and retain the speaker's main points. Listen for the preview of important ideas in the introduction and reiteration of them in the conclusion. Take notes of main points, for example, bipolar disorder is actually a spectrum of disorders. Indent supporting points under main points to indicate subordination of ideas. Here's a quick tip. Listening responsibly. As listeners, we are ethically bound to refrain from disruptive and intimidating tactics such as heckling, name-calling, or interrupting that are meant to silence those with whom we disagree. If we find the arguments of others morally offensive, we are equally bound to speak up appropriately and refutation. Evaluate evidence and reasoning. The ability to think critically, to evaluate claims on the basis of well-supported reasons go hand in hand with active listening. As you listen to speeches, use your critical faculties to do the following. Evaluate the speaker's evidence. Is it true? Are the sources credible? Analyze the speaker's assumptions and biases. What lies behind the speaker's assertions? Does the evidence support or contradict these assertions? Assess the speaker's reasoning. Does it betray faculty logic? Does it rely on faculties and reasoning? Consider multiple perspectives. Is there another way to view the argument? How do others' perspectives compare with the speaker's? Summarize and assess the relevant facts and evidence. How will you think or act on the basis of evidence? Strive for the open and respectful exchange of ideas, and contrast it with monologue, in which we try to merely impose what we think on another person or group of people. Dialogic communication is the opening, sharing of ideas in an atmosphere of respect. True dialogue encourages both listener and speaker to reach conclusions together. For listeners, this means maintaining an open mind and listening with empathy. For the speaker, this means approaching a speech not an argument that must be won, but as an opportunity to achieve understanding with audience members. Offer constructive and compassionate feedback. Follow these guidelines when evaluating the speeches of others. 1. Be honest and fair in your evaluation of the speech. Assess the speech as a whole and remain open to ideas and beliefs that differ from your own. 2. Adjust to the speaker's style. Each of us has a unique communication style, a way of presenting themselves through a mix of verbal and nonverbal signals. Don't judge the content of a speaker's message by his or her style. 3. Be compassionate in your criticism. Always start by starting something positive and focus on the speech, not the speaker. 4. Be selective in your criticism. Make specific rather than global statements. Rather than statements such as, I just couldn't get into your topic, give the speaker something he or she can learn from. I wanted more on why the housing market is falling.